My Civil War studies. I'd been a member of the Civil War Roundtable for about a year. There were branches all over the country. I'd read a novel about the Battle of Gettysburg called The Killer Angels, and it got me started on studying the war, so much so that I became vitally interested in the life of one of the participants, Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain. I'd studied him intensely, traveled to Gettysburg, to his hometown of Brunswick, Maine, to repositories of Civil War records and data. I was, you might say, obsessed. All this was spurred on by a legendary historian who lived right here in town. His name was Alan Nolan, and he's the one who got me into the Indianapolis Roundtable and got me started writing about Chamberlain. Only now, being the authority, I had to lecture about what I had learned. Doing it here in Indianapolis among friends was not so hard or trepidatious. But now I was standing in front of all of the well-known Civil War historians in the country to tell them about my guy. We were in the auditorium of the National Archives in Washington, D.C., and I was more than a little shaky. Nolan said nice things about me, and now I had to go on. I started out with a little love poem Chamberlain had written to his wife during the war. People were looking down at their programs or at each other, saying, I assumed, who is this guy? Well, it went on from there, and I told the audience about the other JLC, the one none of them knew. He taught at Bowdoin College and indeed taught at one time every subject except for the physical sciences. He wrote an almost poetic description of his experience in the war called The Passing of the Army. It was quite obscure, having never been reprinted since its original publication of 1,000 copies. It has been now. I had assembled notes about troop movements and tactics, about general strategy and other technical stuff. Alas, I didn't refer to them at all. I just spoke about my own loving impressions of the man. Long story short, at the end of my talk, I got a standing ovation and questions for a half an hour. Go figure. I went on tour and wrote a book. Jeff Daniels played him in the movie Gettysburg, and I got to meet him. My work is still in print. And a little asterisk, one of my speeches about Gettysburg can be found on YouTube. Just type in James Truelock.